What if I told you that chemical pesticide companies have spent decades convincing you that bugs are your enemy, when in reality, there are plants that pests won't even touch? Plants that naturally repel insects, resist diseases, and thrive without synthetic chemicals. Most gardeners don't know this, but while we're out there spraying toxins and fighting losing battles, there are plants that have been defending themselves for millions of years. And today, I'm going to show you 20 of them that will completely change how you think about gardening. Stick around because number 14 attracts beneficial insects that will protect your entire garden, and number 18 is so pest-resistant that commercial growers tried to bury the research. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hey there, fellow gardeners. If you're new here, welcome to a community growing food the way nature intended, without toxic shortcuts. We're rediscovering what works before corporations convinced us we needed their products. Subscribe because every week we're exposing the truth that big agriculture doesn't want you to know. And to everyone who's been here with me, thank you. Your stories of ditching chemicals inspire everything I do. Today, we're talking about pest-resistant plants. The pesticide industry is worth over $70 billion globally. That entire industry depends on you believing bugs are the enemy and chemicals are the solution. They've spent millions on marketing and funding research that downplays natural alternatives, because if everyone knew certain plants don't get attacked by pests, that industry would collapse overnight. These companies don't want you to know that nature already solved the pest problem long before chemical warfare became profitable. What makes a plant pest-resistant? Some produce compounds that taste terrible to insects. Some have oils that repel pests. Some have tough leaves bugs can't chew. Some attract beneficial insects that eat the pests. These are plants indigenous people grew for thousands of years without pesticides, plants that survived in cottage gardens and victory gardens without a spray bottle. Nobody's talking about them because there's no money in selling a seed packet once compared to selling chemicals every season forever. Here are 20 pest-resistant plants that need zero chemicals. Number 1, nasturtiums. The entire plant is edible, from roots to flowers, and they're one of the best pest control plants you can grow. Nasturtiums have a peppery flavor, kind of like arugula, and the flowers are gorgeous in salads. But here's why they're on this list. Nasturtiums are a trap crop for aphids. Aphids love them more than almost anything else, so you plant nasturtiums around your vegetables and the aphids go there instead. But it gets better. Nasturtiums also repel whiteflies, squash bugs, and cucumber beetles. So with one plant, you're trapping some pests and repelling others. Plant them around tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, and brassicas. Harvest the leaves, flowers, and seed pods, which can be pickled like capers. Watch as your pest problems decrease without a single spray. Number 2, marigolds. And not just any marigolds. We're talking about Mexican marigolds, also called tagetes minuta. These aren't the little bedding marigolds you see everywhere. These grow 6 feet tall and smell intensely of, well, marigold. That smell is exactly why pests hate them. Mexican marigolds produce a compound called alpha-terthianol that's toxic to many insects and even suppresses nematodes in the soil. Nematodes are microscopic worms that attack plant roots, and they're almost impossible to control with organic methods, except Mexican marigolds do it naturally. You plant them in spring, let them grow all season, then cut them down and till them into the soil in fall. The roots and plant material break down and release compounds that kill nematodes and other soil pests. The next year, that bed will be cleaner and healthier than it's been in years. Meanwhile, while they're growing, they repel aphids, mosquitoes, and even some species of beetles. The flowers are edible and used in some traditional cuisines, though they're strongly flavored. This plant was used in agriculture for centuries before chemical companies convinced farmers to buy their products instead. Bring it back, and you're solving problems you didn't even know you had. Number 3, garlic. And yes, garlic is one of the most pest-resistant crops you can grow. Garlic produces allicin and other sulfur compounds that insects absolutely hate. Aphids won't touch it. Spider mites avoid it. Even larger pests like rabbits and deer stay away because of the smell. But here's what makes garlic extra valuable. You can use it to protect other plants. Interplant garlic with roses, and you'll have fewer aphids. Plant it near fruit trees, and you'll reduce borer problems. The compounds in garlic are volatile, meaning they release into the air around the plant and create a protective zone. Garlic is also one of the easiest crops to grow. You plant cloves in fall, ignore them all winter, and harvest in early summer. No fertilizer needed, no watering once established, no pest control required. It's a plant that literally takes care of itself while helping everything around it. And when you harvest, you've got bulbs that store for months and scapes in spring that are gourmet ingredients. This is food that produces food while protecting food. It's efficiency on a level that makes modern agriculture look ridiculous. Number 4, rosemary. This woody perennial herb is basically bulletproof when it comes to pests. Rosemary produces strong aromatic oils that confuse and repel a wide range of insects. Cabbage moths hate it. Carrot flies won't go near it. Mosquitoes avoid it. Bean beetles stay away. The plant is so pest-resistant that you could probably grow it in a cloud of locusts and it would come out unscathed. Rosemary is evergreen in mild climates and can be grown as a perennial or brought indoors in cold areas. It needs excellent drainage and doesn't like wet feet, but once established, it's drought-tolerant and thrives on neglect. Plant rosemary near cabbage family crops to confuse cabbage moths. Plant it near beans to repel bean beetles. Plant it near carrots to deter carrot flies. Or just plant it in pots around your patio to keep mosquitoes away while you're enjoying your evening. You're getting a culinary herb that's worth more per pound than most vegetables, and it's doing pest control work the entire time it's growing. It's like having a bouncer at your garden who also happens to be a world-class chef. Number 5, lavender. Another aromatic herb that pests despise. Lavender produces linalool and other compounds that moths, fleas, flies, and mosquitoes can't stand. Plant lavender, and you're creating a barrier that many pests simply won't cross. But here's where lavender gets really interesting. It attracts beneficial insects like crazy. Bees, butterflies, hoverflies, and predatory wasps all love lavender flowers. And many of those insects are predators of garden pests. Hoverfly larvae eat aphids by the hundreds. Predatory wasps parasitize caterpillars and aphids. So lavender is simultaneously repelling some pests while attracting the insects that eat other pests. It's a two-way defense system in one beautiful plant. Lavender is perennial, drought-tolerant once established, and thrives in poor soil. It needs good drainage and full sun, but beyond that, it basically grows itself. Plant it around the borders of your garden, and you've created a protective perimeter. Harvest the flowers for sachets, cooking, or tea, and enjoy knowing that your garden is safer without you doing anything chemical. Think of it as the plant that turns your garden into a fortress while making it smell amazing. Number 6, sage. This Mediterranean herb has been used for thousands of years, and pests still haven't figured out how to eat it. Sage produces compounds like camphor and thujone that are toxic or repellent to most insects. Cabbage moths avoid it. Carrot flies won't land near it. Slugs and snails give it a wide berth. Even deer and rabbits usually leave it alone. Sage is a woody perennial that lives for years once established. It handles heat, cold, drought, and poor soil. The only thing it can't handle is overwatering. Plant it, forget it, and harvest whenever you need it. And here's a bonus. Sage attracts beneficial insects with its flowers. Bees love it, and predatory wasps visit it regularly. So you're repelling pests and attracting pest predators simultaneously. Interplant sage with brassicas, carrots, and tomatoes. All of them benefit from having sage nearby. Number 7, chives. These easy-to-grow alliums are pest-resistant themselves and help protect neighboring plants. Chives produce the same sulfur compounds as onions and garlic, which repel aphids, Japanese beetles, and carrot rust flies. But chives have an advantage over garlic and onions. They're perennial. You plant them once, and they come back bigger every year. They also flower with beautiful purple pom-poms that bees and beneficial insects love. Those flowers are edible and make salads look fancy. Chives grow in sun or partial shade. They tolerate poor soil. They're cold hardy to ridiculous extremes, and you can harvest them by just cutting leaves, and they'll regrow within weeks. Plant chives around roses to reduce aphids and black spot. Plant them near tomatoes to deter aphids. Plant them near carrots to confuse carrot flies, or just plant them everywhere because they're useful, productive, and impossible to kill. This is the ultimate low-maintenance, high-value plant that also happens to do pest control. Number 8, tansy. Now, here's a plant with a complicated reputation. Tansy is incredibly pest-resistant and was used historically to repel flies, ants, moths, and beetles. It produces compounds that many insects find toxic. The problem is, those compounds can also be problematic for humans and livestock in large doses, so you don't eat tansy. But as a pest control plant in the garden, it's phenomenal. Tansy repels ants, which means it reduces aphid problems because ants farm aphids. It repels cucumber beetles, Japanese beetles, and squash bugs. Flies won't land on it. And it's so effective that pioneers used to plant it by doorways to keep flies out of houses. Tansy is perennial and spreads aggressively, so plant it where it can spread or keep it contained. Number 9, catnip. And I'm not joking. Catnip isn't just for cats. It's a powerful pest repellent plant. Catnip produces nepentolactone, a compound that repels mosquitoes, aphids, squash bugs, and flea beetles. Studies have shown it's actually more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DEET, the chemical in most bug sprays. Catnip is a perennial mint relative that grows easily in sun or partial shade. It spreads but not as aggressively as mint, and it's easy to control. The flowers attract bees and beneficial insects. And yes, cats will go crazy for it. Plant catnip around squash and cucumbers to deter squash bugs and cucumber beetles. Plant it around potatoes to reduce flea beetles. You're creating a no-spray mosquito zone using a plant that grows itself. Number 10, borage. This annual herb is a powerhouse of pest resistance and beneficial insect attraction. Borage produces compounds that repel tomato hornworms and cabbage worms, but more importantly, it attracts predatory wasps and bees in massive numbers. The blue star-shaped flowers are irresistible to beneficial insects, and those insects stick around to lay eggs and hunt pests in your garden. Borage self-seeds aggressively, so you plant it once and you'll have volunteer plants forever. It grows fast, reaching 2 to 3 feet tall in a matter of weeks. The leaves and flowers are edible with a cucumber-like flavor. Plant borage near tomatoes, squash, and strawberries. Let it flower, let it reseed, and you've created a self-sustaining pest management system. If you're realizing that nature had this figured out long before chemical companies entered the picture, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me which of these plants you're going to try first. Number 11, mint. And yes, mint is aggressive and will take over if you let it. But that aggressive nature comes with serious pest-repelling power. Mint produces menthol and other strong oils that repel ants, aphids, flea beetles, and even rodents. Mice and rats hate the smell of mint, so planting it near vulnerable crops can reduce rodent damage. The problem with mint is control. It spreads by underground runners and will colonize any area you let it. So either plant it in containers or plant it in areas where you want aggressive ground cover. Mint attracts beneficial insects with its flowers. It's completely cold-hardy and drought-tolerant once established, and you can harvest it constantly for tea, cooking, and making natural pest repellent sprays. Crush mint leaves in water, strain it, and spray it on plants that are getting attacked by aphids or beetles. It works better than many commercial organic sprays and costs you nothing. Number 12, wormwood. This is Artemisia absinthium, the plant that's famous for flavoring absinthe. But in the garden, wormwood is a pest control legend. It repels moths, flies, fleas, mosquitoes, and even larger pests like mice and voles. The plant produces absinthin and other bitter compounds that animals and insects find repulsive. Wormwood is a perennial that grows into a silvery green shrub reaching 3 to 4 feet tall. It's drought-tolerant, handles poor soil, and thrives on neglect. Plant wormwood at the edges of your garden to create a barrier. Its volatile compounds release into the air and create a zone that many pests avoid. Just remember, wormwood is allelopathic, meaning it releases compounds that inhibit the growth of some plants nearby. Don't plant it right next to vegetables. Give it space and let it do its work from a distance. Number 13, fennel. This feathery herb is related to carrots, but much more pest-resistant. Fennel produces strong aromatic compounds that confuse and repel many pests. Aphids avoid it, slugs won't touch it, and it attracts beneficial insects like crazy. Parasitic wasps, ladybugs, hoverflies, and lacewings all love fennel flowers. These are the insects that control pest populations better than any spray ever could. Fennel grows tall, reaching 5 to 6 feet, and produces yellow umbrella-like flowers that are stunning. The leaves, stems, seeds, and even the pollen are edible and used in cooking. Here's the catch. Fennel is allelopathic like wormwood. Plant fennel away from vegetables, maybe at the garden border, and let it attract beneficial insects from there. You're creating a breeding ground for your pest control army. Number 14, and this is the one I mentioned at the beginning, alyssum. Sweet alyssum is a low-growing, flowering plant that most people grow as an ornamental. But in integrated pest management, alyssum is gold. Alyssum flowers produce nectar that attracts hoverflies and parasitic wasps. Hoverfly larvae eat aphids by the hundreds. A single larva can consume 400 aphids in its lifetime. Parasitic wasps lay eggs in aphids, caterpillars, and other pests, killing them from the inside. When you plant alyssum throughout your garden, you're creating habitat for these beneficial insects. They live in your garden, breed in your garden, and patrol your garden looking for pests to eat or parasitize. Studies have shown that gardens with alyssum ground cover have significantly fewer pest problems than gardens without it. And alyssum is ridiculously easy to grow. It self-seeds, tolerates poor soil, blooms for months, and costs almost nothing. You can buy a packet of seeds for a couple of dollars and have pest control for years. This is exactly the kind of information that pesticide companies don't want you to know, because if everyone planted alyssum, chemical sales would tank. Number 15, coriander, also called cilantro. This herb is pest-resistant and attracts beneficial insects. The leaves repel aphids and spider mites. The flowers attract hoverflies, parasitic wasps, and lacewings. And if you let some plants go to seed, you get coriander seeds for cooking and more volunteer plants next year. Coriander grows fast, especially in cool weather. It bolts quickly in heat, which most people see as a problem. But smart gardeners let it bolt because those flowers are what attract beneficial insects. You're essentially turning a problem into a pest management asset. Plant coriander throughout your garden. Let some plants be harvested for leaves and let others flower and go to seed. You'll have fresh cilantro for cooking, coriander seeds for spice, and an army of beneficial insects patrolling for pests. Number 16, yarrow. This perennial herb is native to many regions and grows wild along roadsides and in meadows. That tells you everything about how tough it is. Yarrow produces aromatic compounds that repel beetles, aphids, and ants. But more importantly, yarrow is a beneficial insect magnet. The flat-topped flower clusters provide landing platforms and nectar for predatory wasps, ladybugs, and hoverflies. Yarrow is perennial, drought-tolerant, and grows in any soil. It spreads slowly over time, filling in areas and creating beautiful drifts of white, yellow, or pink flowers. You can plant yarrow at garden borders or intersperse it among vegetables. And here's a bonus. Yarrow is a dynamic accumulator. Its roots pull minerals from deep in the soil, and when you cut down the foliage, you can use it as mulch to return those minerals to the topsoil. It's like having a plant that mines fertilizer while doing pest control. Number 17, onions. These common vegetables are actually one of the best pest deterrent crops you can grow. Onions produce sulfur compounds that confuse and repel carrot rust flies, aphids, and Japanese beetles. The smell masks other plants, making it harder for pests to find their target crops. Interplanting onions with carrots is a classic companion planting strategy. The onions mask the smell of carrots, reducing carrot fly damage. Planting onions near brassicas can reduce aphid problems, and onions themselves are almost never bothered by pests because of their natural defenses. Onions are easy to grow from sets or seeds. They need full sun and decent drainage, but they tolerate a wide range of soils. And when you harvest, you've got food that stores for months. You're getting pest control and calories from the same plant. That's efficiency that modern agriculture can't match with chemicals. Number 18, and this is the big one, petunias. Now stay with me here. Petunias aren't food, but they're one of the most pest-resistant ornamental plants, and they have a secret weapon. Petunias produce a sticky sap on their stems and leaves that traps small insects like aphids, leafhoppers, and whiteflies. The insects get stuck and die, protecting nearby plants. This is called being a trap crop, and petunias are excellent at it. But here's the part that chemical companies tried to suppress. In the 1980s and 1990s, researchers discovered that petunias could significantly reduce pest populations in commercial vegetable operations. Studies showed that planting petunias around tomatoes, peppers, and other crops reduced aphid damage by up to 70% without any sprays. This research threatened pesticide sales, and the findings were quietly buried. Funding dried up, and the research stopped being promoted. But gardeners who knew about it kept using petunias as pest control. And it works. Plant petunias around your vegetable garden, especially near tomatoes, peppers, and beans. The pests get trapped on the petunias instead of attacking your food. You're creating sacrificial plants that are also beautiful. And petunias bloom all summer, attract pollinators, and cost almost nothing. This is exactly the kind of simple solution that threatens an entire industry, which is why they don't want you to know about it. Number 19, radishes. These fast-growing roots are naturally pest-resistant because they grow so quickly that pests don't have time to do serious damage. Radishes are ready to harvest in 3 to 4 weeks. Even if flea beetles nibble the leaves, the roots develop underground untouched. But radishes have another trick. They're an excellent trap crop for flea beetles. Flea beetles love radish leaves even more than they love eggplant, turnip, or arugula leaves. So you plant radishes as a border around pest-prone crops, and the flea beetles concentrate on the radishes, leaving your main crops alone. And here's the beautiful part. Radishes grow so fast that even with flea beetle damage, they still produce edible roots. You harvest the roots, pull the plants, and replant. The whole cycle takes a month, so you can do it multiple times per season. This is integrated pest management at its simplest. You're using a food crop to protect other food crops, and you're getting harvests from both. No chemicals, no complicated systems, just smart planting. Number 20, tomatoes. Wait, what? Yes, tomatoes actually have natural pest resistance that we've bred out of modern varieties and then replaced with chemicals. Wild tomatoes and heirloom varieties produce alkaloids in their leaves and stems that repel many insects. The smell of tomato foliage naturally deters whiteflies, aphids, and some beetles. But commercial breeding focused on fruit production and disease resistance, often at the expense of these natural pest deterrents. So here's what you do. Grow heirloom tomato varieties, particularly those known for vigorous growth. Varieties like Brandywine, Cherokee Purple, and Mortgage Lifter have stronger natural defenses than most hybrids. And here's a trick. Tomato suckers, those shoots that grow between the main stem and branches, can be removed and planted around your garden. They root easily and become full plants. But even if you don't want more tomato plants, those suckers can be laid around brassicas and other pest-prone crops. The smell of tomato foliage repels cabbage moths and aphids. You're using waste plant material as pest control. It's free, it's effective, and it's exactly the kind of solution that doesn't require buying anything. That's why nobody's selling it to you. So there you have it, 20 pest-resistant plants that need zero chemicals. Plants that protect themselves and their neighbors. The pesticide industry has spent decades creating dependence. They breed plants that need chemicals, market those chemicals as necessary, and bury research showing natural alternatives work just as well or better. But you can break that cycle. Every one of these plants is available. You can buy seeds from any garden center. You can plant them this season and start seeing results immediately. When you grow these plants, your pest problems decrease to manageable levels. You stop exposing yourself to toxic chemicals. You save money. These plants are cheap or free after the first year. Many self-seed or are perennial. You start working with nature instead of against it, seeing pests not as enemies, but as parts of an ecosystem managed through diversity. And you become part of the solution. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying you'll never have pest damage. You will. Bugs exist and they eat plants. That's nature. But there's a massive difference between occasional nibbles on some leaves and losing entire crops to pest devastation. These plants shift the balance from devastation to minor cosmetic damage. And you'll find that once you stop spraying, beneficial insects move in. Ladybugs, lacewings, predatory wasps, spiders, and ground beetles will colonize your garden. These insects control pest populations naturally, creating a balanced ecosystem where pests exist but never reach plague proportions. It's how nature works when we stop interfering with chemicals that kill everything. The pesticide industry doesn't want you to know this because it makes their products unnecessary. They want you dependent, spraying every week, buying their products forever. But you don't have to play that game. So here's my challenge to you. Pick 5 plants from this list, just 5. Work them into your garden this season. Plant them around your vegetables, at the borders, in pots on your patio, wherever you have space. Watch what happens. Pay attention to pest populations. Notice which areas have more beneficial insects. And then come back and tell me in the comments what you discovered. Because this is how we spread the word, not through corporate marketing or big advertising budgets, but through gardeners sharing what actually works. If this video opened your eyes to natural pest control that the industry has been hiding, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more people, and every person who sees this is another gardener who might break free from chemical dependence. Drop a comment below telling me which pest-resistant plant you're most excited to grow. Are you team aromatic herbs? Team beneficial insect attractors? Team trap crops? I genuinely want to know, and I read every single comment. Your feedback helps shape future videos and the content this community needs.